Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. We're going to be going over how to replace the rear brakes on your Nissan Pathfinder. Now this is a 2018 specifically, but whether you have this generation or the new generation, this process will be pretty much the same. So hopefully this video helps you out. First thing you got to do, pop open your hood, take off this cap. It goes right there. That's the cap for your brake fluid. Just when you compress the piston in later, it releases the pressure. You're not building up pressure, you're not going to blow anything up. So pop the hood, get the cap off. Next, what you want to do is loosen your lug nuts. These are 21 millimeter on this model. Only thing you'll need, if it's like mine, you will need the locking key, because you do have the one locking nut on there. So if you have the key, easy peasy, 21 mil, break them loose. And if you're wondering when you put them back on, 85 foot-pounds. So you're looking for 85 foot-pounds once you tighten these back down. But before you jack up the car and get the wheel off, break the lug nuts loose, and then we'll jack it up. All right, next step is to jack up the car. What you're looking for when you get it up, if you come under here, you can see where I have the jack stand located. You got your two little humps, one on each side of there. That's where you're aiming. It's the strongest point, the little pinch welds. Put your jack stand there. It'll hold it up. You don't have to worry about the car falling on your head. And then we can come over here. You loosen the lug nuts off, get the wheel off the rest of the way. And as you can see, probably, these brakes are more than ready to be replaced. So what we're going to do now is come over here, just this top bolt right here. It's a 14 millimeter. We're going to loosen it and take it out completely. So once this bolt is out, you can see, just pull straight out like that. Try not to get that too dirty. You can take the front of your caliper and just roll it downwards. Once it's down, just let it sit like that for now. Then you can come in here, grab your old brake pads, pull them out, and now you can see this is the rear one. It has the little tab for the squealer. What I mean by the rear is it's in the inside of the vehicle, so it'll go on the back. And basically, you can see just how worn down these pads are. There's basically nothing left there. This vehicle is a 2018. Right now while we're filming, we're in 2024, and these have never been touched. So, starting to squeal, changing them out. But again, when you put the new ones in, the squealer, or the little metal tab, goes on the back. Now, one thing to note, because I know it'll be coming in the comments, is some people, when you take this top bolt out like I did, they also take the bottom one out, they re-grease everything in there. For me, I don't do that, I never have, and I've never had a situation where these have actually seized up. So I've got the pads out, and you can see just how easily this thing slides still. Like I said, I've never had one in my life seize up, but if you do want, you can take the top one right out, the bottom one right out. You throw a little bit of grease in here, re-lube it up behind this little rubber bushing or rubber sleeve here, and it just keeps it smooth. But as you can see, this thing has no issues. So I never do it, but if you want to, you can do it yourself. Right, so now because we are doing both pads and the rotors, we need to get the whole brake caliper off of here. So you come to the back, you have a 19 millimeter bolt right here, and another one right down there. So the top one you can reach with a ratchet, bottom one, this other bar gets in the way. It's a little bit of a pain to get the ratchet on, so you may need a wrench, but get those out. Then this whole thing can come off. We'll rest it up here, and then we can get the rotor out of the way. And then once you got those two 19 millimeter bolts out, just have a little washer with them. Sit your caliper up top, and we can work on getting the rotors off. As you can see, there's nothing that holds this on other than itself. So you can see it's quite tight. It seizes on there once in a while, especially with a vehicle that's been sitting this long without ever touching them. So get a little hammer, a little sledgehammer, whatever you got. Give it a love tap here around it. You're changing this, you don't have to worry about breaking it. Don't hit your studs, obviously, otherwise you won't be able to get your nuts back on and your wheel won't be able to go back on. But give it a few love taps, it'll pop loose, and then it literally just comes right off. All right, new rotors versus old rotors. Only thing you need off this is this little rubber guy here. Get your finger in there, pull it out. That hole is right here. What that is you can pop this out just to adjust your parking brake. Because yes, these are disc brakes, but on the inside, you'll see when we put them on, it also is your parking brake. So you got the little tab, you can adjust it in and out for your parking brake. This is what you pull out. You can put a little screwdriver in there, spin the wheel, and it'll adjust it. Other thing, before you put this on, you might be able to see these come, and they all do, a little bit greasy. I don't know if it's the machining oil when they make it or what. You want that off of there. Get some brake cleaner. You don't need a lot. Spray it down, wipe it down, just get the grease off, and it's ready to go on the car. All right, so now that the new rotor is on, what we're going to do is start working on the pads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the caliper. I'm going to get it back on here in place, just with those two 19 mil bolts and the washer we took out. You don't have to tighten it right down, but I want to just get it on there. It's kind of like an extra set of hands, because you do not want to drop this thing. If you drop it, chances are you're going to break your brake line here. Then not only does it make a huge mess, but you're also going to have no brakes, because all the fluid in the system is going to drain out. So I'm going to take the two bolts, put it back in place, and then we can work on getting the new pads put in place, and I'll show you how to do all that. All right, so here's a little comparison of old pads versus new. You can see quite a difference. So next step is to get the new pads on. But before we do that, what we got to do is bring this old one up here, put it on your caliper, because you can see the piston is all the way out. We need that all the way in, because with the new width of the new pads, you won't be able to flip this over and close it. So what I recommend is you can get these at any hardware store. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them pretty much everywhere that sells car parts. And what this is a little tool to compress the caliper. So you loosen it like I did here. You drop it in. You want it, of course it's going to be a little bit of a pain with one hand, but you want it in between. So a little easier with two hands to get it in there, because even with this thing it's a tight fit. You want it in between the piston and the old brake pad. Then all you got to do is slowly twist this, and now because you have the cap off your brake fluid reservoir, when you turn, and it's not very hard, but you don't want to go fast either, because you'll blow something up and you'll wreck it. Just let it go nice and slow, just like this. Keep turning. It'll get easier as you go once the fluid starts flowing, and basically you can see it'll compress in, and just keep going until she's all the way in and flush. Now that the piston is all the way compressed, we can move over here on the other side, and we just need to get these little clips off. The new brakes came with new clips, so these ones are most likely pretty stuck. You may need a flathead screwdriver or something, which I will for this, because you can see it's very stuck on there. But get those two off. There's a top one here as well. Let's see, that one came off a little easier. You just pull them off just like that, and then this box or brand of brakes came with brand new ones. They're exactly the same. They're just a fresh set, because these things will rust out after a while, and you don't want your brakes to squeal. So the new product or the new hardware will keep it from doing so. So once you got the old ones out, the new ones are way easier to put on. It literally just goes in place like that. Push down, clips in, push down on the back, make sure it's all the way down. You hear that click. There's no wiggle, there's no movement. Now your brake pads are ready to go in. One more thing I recommend before doing this, hit it all with brake cleaner again, because you can see we're up in Canada, this stuff's starting to get pretty rusty. Mostly just, on the top. It's not like it's rusting through or anything, but you definitely don't want any of that getting in your brakes. So again, in here is a good spot that holds quite a bit. So get your brake cleaner, clean the whole thing. If you got a wire brush, brush it, brush all the spots there. Yes, you have new hardware. This won't really move around, but the cleaner you can get it, the better your job will be. All right, so one last step now that it's all clean and you're going to go put your new pads in. What I recommend, most of these come with a little package like that. What it is what they call brake quieter or whatever. Brake quiet is what some of the brands are called. I have another bottle of it in my garage. It's basically grease, and you put it on anywhere that moves. So I put it on both the tabs on the end, and it's not there yet, but I'm going to put it just around the metal ring as well on the piston for the caliper. And then when you drop these in place, like so, basically when your brakes are now going back and forth, it's all nice and lubed up there. It'll be quiet. It won't be metal on metal. It just lessens the chance you're going to have squealy brakes and just keeps it moving and operating better because it's lubed up and it can move back and forth. And then again, I got the back one in already. And remember, the back has the little squealer tab. So put it on the back side. The front is just your plain old one. All right, so don't mind the airplane in the background, but once you got it all lubed up, flip it back over, put your top 14mm bolt that we removed back in. We're going to tighten this all down, put your wheel back on, 85 foot-pounds to torque it down, and then you're just about done. And then before you get back into the car, make sure, come back under the hood, put your cap back on, then we'll go inside, push on the brake a couple times. And then what you want to do, find your fanciest pair of Crocs, get in here, push on the brake a few times, and like I said, it'll feel really spongy for at least one push all the way to the floor. Just keep pushing, it'll get stiffer and stiffer as you go, and that's basically just filling up that piston we compressed earlier, refilling your brake lines, pushing everything where it should, and then if you want, give your park brake a check. That all feels good. Brake now feels good. All you got to do is go out, take it for a drive. So there you go, guys. That's just about how easy it is to change the rear brakes on a Pathfinder. Like I said, this is a 2018 specifically, but whether you're doing the Pathfinder or any other vehicle that's similar to this one, most of these brakes are put together the same way. So hopefully this helped you out. Like I said, if you got a 14, a 19, and a 21 mil, that's really all you need to do this job. So take your time, make sure everything's clean. Of course, push your brakes. Don't just go for a drive right away. You'll have no brakes for the first couple pumps. Get all that going, test everything out, go out, make sure they work. Should stop the squealing, and you're good to go for another few years. So hopefully this helped you out. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, check out the other content. We got the Pathfinder and we got the Frontier in the back here. So stay tuned for more videos. Hopefully this helped you out, and hopefully we'll catch you in another video. Thanks for watching.